Welcome back to a new painting tutorial. Today we'll be working on a highly detailed tile and how to achieve better results using these techniques while focusing more on the details. Let's get started. We'll start by applying Green Ranger as our base color over the tile, which has been previously primed in black. You can use any color of primer, so don't worry if you find a different one. Be careful and make sure to avoid painting the organ, as it will be a different color. Next, we mix Ranger Green and Coyote Brown in a 50-50 ratio and apply the first highlights, focusing on the mid to high areas of the tile. To enhance the highlights, we add 10% Parchment to our previous mix and apply it to the highest areas, creating a smooth gradient of tones. Now, let's paint the windows. We use Burnt Red as the base color. For this step, it's best to use a thin brush to avoid painting over the window frames, which have already been painted. Using Scarlet Blood, we paint the lower part of the window to create a blending effect. This will become more pronounced once we paint the bars. The more layers of Scarlet Blood we apply, the more saturated the color will become. Now, we carefully paint all the window bars with black, which will also help clean up any excess red paint. To add some weathering to the wall, we dilute the ink with water in a 50-50 ratio and apply it to the corners and deeper areas. As you can see, I'm using two brushes at the same time, one to apply the ink and another with clean water to drag the ink downward, creating a dripping effect and a filter over the wall. Now we move on to painting the organ, starting with flat brown as the base color. Just like with the window, we carefully paint around the edges where the organ meets the wall and floor to avoid any unwanted paint spills. Before adding highlights, we want to enhance the shadows. For this, we apply a wash using sepia ink all over the organ. Since this ink is very fluid, it will quickly cover the entire surface, settling into all the textures and deep areas, giving the organ a sense of depth and volume. Returning to the dry brush technique, we bring back the highlights on the organ by using flat brown. Since we previously darkened the entire element, reapplying the base color in this way will create the illusion of having two different tones. For the first highlights, we dry brush with flat earth. We apply this color mainly to the highest and central areas while preserving the tones we've built up so far. As for the final highlights, we add 50% khaki to our previous mix. As you can see, this quickly brings out all the textures of the organ. For the organ pipes, we use Anthrax metal. When using metallic paints, it's a good idea to add a tiny bit of water to the paint to prevent it from becoming too thick or textured. Next, we paint the keyboard using Basalt Gray as the base color. Now, we carefully paint the keys using Wolf Gray. This step requires patience, since we are painting each key individually. A fine brush is essential for this. I'm using a number 00 brush here. Although painting the keyboard may seem tricky, the texture is already sculpted into the model. I recommend using a good light source to make this process much easier. Once the white keys are done, we paint the black keys using black paint. Finally, we paint the sheet music book, starting with khaki as the base color. We cover the previous layer with Parchment. This step is necessary because if we applied Parchment directly over black, it wouldn't cover evenly, requiring multiple coats. Using black, we paint a treble clef and some lines to simulate musical notes, but feel free to add any details you like. To finish, we apply a yellow wash over the keyboard to give the keys an aged look, and with that, our tile is complete. Thanks for watching. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more painting tutorials. See you in the next one.